it's Jordan, and today I'm going to show you 20 DIY school success hacks. So during this time of year, I tend to get really busy and kind of stressed out, especially with school. But these are the tips that I try to use so I can manage my school along with all my other activities. So this is kind of more school organization and school success, and I'm throwing in some DIYs in there as well. And I think one of the DIYs is like the 20th hack somewhere in here, so it's towards the end. So make sure you watch to the very end because I think the best things are at the end of this video. So without further ado, let's get started with this video. So the first hack is just to plan your outfit the night before so you don't have to spend all the extra time in the morning when you could be sleeping planning out your outfit. The next hack is just to place your alarm clock or your phone or whatever wakes you up kind of far away from your bed, so you have to actually get up out of bed to turn it off. Or there's also an app that is called Spin Me, I think, and it actually makes you get up out of bed and spin around twice in order for the alarm to turn off. So I definitely recommend something like that if you have an issue with waking up in the morning. Next, I definitely recommend for you to eat a big breakfast in the morning rather than skipping it, because I used to skip breakfast in the morning and then I recently started eating a bigger breakfast and I noticed that I'm definitely more awake in class and more focused. But if that breakfast isn't enough and you're still really tired, I would recommend to have some maybe tea with caffeine or coffee, or my favorite is the Starbucks Refresher, and I just get a huge pack of these at Costco and they are so good and they're pretty healthy for you too, and they definitely keep you awake. But if all of that fails and you're still falling asleep in class, I have a few methods for you to stay awake. First is just to doodle, and I sometimes just like to kind of keep my pencil down on the paper and see where my hand wants to go and just kind of scribble all over my paper. Also, you could bring one of these little squishy ball things, I don't really know what you call them, but you can just squish that in class. You can also chew gum, which keeps your mouth moving. And lastly, if you're really falling asleep, you could even try holding your breath, because that speeds up your heart rate, and so you're gonna probably stay awake easier if you're holding your breath. My next tip for you is to, when you're taking notes, pretend you're taking notes for a friend so that they're a lot neater, because when I take notes for a friend, I definitely want to make sure that they're good and neat. Also, use color when you're taking notes or studying or making flashcards, or whenever you're writing anything. I definitely recommend to use color, especially for those visual people. You can also color coordinate things, so you can really get creative with all that, and that definitely helps me out and makes it easier for me to look back at my notes. Another thing you can do while you're taking notes or just as a study method is to draw pictures of them. So if you're one of those more visual learners, just draw pictures and you can probably visualize that when you're trying to think of the vocabulary word or the scenario or whatever you're trying to remember. It'll probably help you trigger that memory. After a long day of school, when you're ready to start doing your homework, I would recommend to just kind of get comfy, like maybe put on your pajamas, put your hair up, take off your makeup, whatever you want to do to get comfy, and it just kind of helps me focus a little better. Also, something else that's not really a hack but more of just a tip is just to not procrastinate. And I am honestly so bad at this, but just tell yourself that you have to start your homework at a certain time and then just make yourself start your homework. And while you're doing your homework, I would recommend to play some music, and not necessarily like regular pop culture music or whatever, but I would recommend some kind of non-lyric music so it doesn't mess with your brain while you're trying to read. And my favorite website for this is called 8 Tracks, and you can just type in the mood and it just comes up with a bunch of different playlists of different music you can listen to that will help you study. Something else you can do that might help while you're doing your homework, you can time yourself and say, okay, I'm just gonna work for 10 minutes, and then after 10 minutes I will get a 5-minute break. And then on the 5-minute break, you could, go on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. By the way, you should follow me on all those social media, and on Snapchat, I promise I'll add you back. So you should definitely follow me on all that. And then after a 5-minute break, you have to go back again and start your reading or homework or whatever it is for another 10 minutes. The next tip is just to, while you're studying, you can maybe eat a snack or chew gum, and it just kind of keeps your brain more alert, I guess. And I also heard that if you chew gum while you're studying and you chew the same flavor gum while you're taking the test, it kind of helps you bring back the memories and the facts of whatever you're studying. I don't know if that really works, but I just heard that, so you guys could try it out and tell me if it works down below in the comments. My next tip is just to make flashcards, and I didn't used to be a big fan of flashcards, and I just started to get back into them, and they really help a lot. First, I like to use a lot of colors on my flashcards, and you can categorize them by the colors if you want to, or just keep them colorful. Another trick that I used with the flashcards is actually inspired by my history teacher, so shout out to Mr. Holdren. So as you go through your flashcards, you make 3 piles, and the first pile is everything that you have down, and the second pile is everything you kind of know, and the last pile is everything that you just don't know at all. And then start with the pile of things that you don't know at all and kind of move your way backwards until you know everything, if that makes any sense. The next hack or tip is something if you have difficulty remembering things, this will definitely help you remember things a lot better. So all you have to do is take the facts you have to remember and make up a random story with them that somehow correlates to your life.
And he grew these really big horns. They were really strong, really mighty. He used his horns as a farming technique, and he made my backyard into a huge farmland, and he grew crops and a bunch of other stuff just by using his horns, which were basically like a plow.
The more random and the more the story relates to your life, the easier you'll remember it, because it uses a different part of your brain. That fact definitely works, and you probably will have to think through a few steps to get to the answer on the test, but you'll probably remember it somewhere in your brain. Next, I would just say to make a list every day, or just add to your list from the previous day, and it really just helps to organize all your thoughts and everything that you need to do so you can manage your time a lot better, and it also is really satisfying when you finish something and you can just cross it off of your list. Next, I definitely recommend to use an agenda. This just also keeps your stuff really organized, and it can help you to manage your time, and this also will help you not forget any assignments, because I know you might think you have it all down in your memory and then you come back to school the next day and you realize you forgot something, and I know that is the worst feeling ever. My next tip is to get ahead when you can. So when your teachers give you an assignment in advance that's due in a few days, I would recommend doing it just as soon as you get time to, and not waiting to the last minute. Also, you can start your studying early for the test and make your flashcards during the unit so you don't have to rush and make your flashcards the day before the big exam. And next is my favorite out of all the hacks. It is a DIY calendar. So first, I just recommend keeping a monthly calendar so you can plan out your entire month and know where everything is going to go so you can manage your time better. And I recently made this calendar. It's actually a chalkboard, so I just wrote with chalkboard markers, and I can plan out my entire month, which is great, and I color coordinated everything. And the way I made it was actually really easy, and I recommend using a piece of wood rather than something foam or cardboard, but that actually curved up a little bit after I painted on top of it. So first, all I did was I just got some acrylic paint and then some unsanded grout, and all you're going to do is mix in a little bit of the unsanded grout with your paint, and then make sure it's mixed completely, and just paint your board. And as you can see, I kind of did an ombre. I did purple at the top and then black at the bottom. And once that's completely dry, you can decorate it with washi tape. And as you can see, I just used washi tape in between each of the days, and I lined the outside with black duct tape. I also used little letters for each of the days. And then you can just write on it, and it works perfectly. And my last little tip for you guys is to just keep your pens and pencils easily accessible, and this is another kind of DIY. I just took this little mason jar type thing, and I put some marbles in it, and then just put my pens and pencils in it, and just set it right on my desk, and it's super cute and a great place to keep all of my pens and pencils. So that was the end of this video, and I hope you guys liked it. And that DIY chalkboard calendar has helped me so much, like, organize everything. So I hope this video helped you guys out, and if you try anything in this video, make sure to tweet me or send me a picture on Instagram or something like that. And yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all later. Bye.